Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another KISS America's AM broadcast here on Zwift Community Live. My name is Ian Anderson, and I'm going to be your host for a Racer Focus here on Zwift. This is a virtual cycling platform, and we're here to race. And we're lined up here in the start pen, getting ready for 4 laps of Watopia Flat Reverse. Which is about 25 miles, 40 kilometers. It's going to take my group just under an hour to finish. All the competitors now joining in. You can see their names on the right. Going to have real-time data for you on the top left corner of your screen. You'll see the watts I'm doing, my cadence, and my heart rate, and you'll just see what it takes to suffer through one of these races. I'll try to talk about what I'm seeing, what I'm feeling. You might be able to see a little bit of that as well, because usually I'm suffering pretty good. So just sit back, relax, leave the work up to me. Looks like there's a lot of the usual crowd here. I see Murtaugh from the Bolt Racing team, BRT. I see Homer J. Simpson here as well. Hey, suiting leader. So listen, we're here getting ready for a race. I'm just spinning up my legs a little bit, actually kind of a low cadence. Just getting ourselves set. Here's Peter Hayworth as well. I think that's Brian's bro, Montgomery, and that's Matt Montgomery. But yeah, this is a virtual cycling platform. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of questions here from you folks at Mixer.com. Everybody always wants to know what the heck it is I'm doing. And I'm on a virtual cycling platform with a bunch of real life people. There are no AI in this game. So it's all just people like me on real bikes. For the most part, making real power. It's getting transmitted into the game. And so we're going to take advantage of that. Awesome technology, and we're going to race. So important things to think about in racing are the draft. You always want to be in a bunch, because if you have other people pushing the air for you, then you don't have to push the air yourself. So that makes it more efficient. So I'm always going to be looking to stay in the draft. Always going to be looking to keep protected from the wind. Got about 50 seconds to go. So I have my heart rate covered up on my screen. You guys can see it. You guys can see my heart rate. But I can't. I don't want to think about how much I'm suffering. I just want to go. And we got a lot of chatters in the race today. Specifically, Luckman. He seems to be all about chatting these days. And Jonathan Guerin, where's Giron? I'm not actually sure. Also in the group. So 5 seconds to go. We're gonna wind it up a little bit here. Getting ready for that typical all-out sprint start. There goes James. Jerome is also here. That's Marriott from the KRT. Got a good hard 5 minutes. I need to stay focused. Because we're going into some hills. They're little hills, but you can get gapped. Pretty good. So I want to stay close to the front. You can see the gradient in the top right. As that increases, the resistance on my trainer increases. So it feels like going uphill. Staying focused, trying to stay in the top 5 wheels. Here's the graph. The color is my power. Actually, you really don't want to see that, sorry. All right, here we go. Big push. Okay, we have a short break. As we come down the hill, then we got to go back on it. There's more hills, more little rollers coming up. Good time to get a drink. As soon as you get here, you can see the gradients going back up. So you got to stay on it. James is off the front. My teammate Hodges, but he's drifting back. And also notice that nobody's really specifically pulling. Here comes another little hill. Nobody's really pulling. It's just a blob effect, where you have a lot of people going hard in a bunch. It speeds up the bunch. pretty big group. I'm sweating like an animal here. Now's when you can kind of let off the gas. We're going down a hill. We're gonna go into an ocean tunnel. Then we're gonna do all that stuff we just did again. Same lap, 4 laps total. Welcome to everybody on Mixer. This is Zwift Community Live. We're broadcasting a racer focus where you go inside a race on the virtual cycling platform Zwift. I am inside the race in this blue kit and I'm riding. And so far we've ridden hard. Here's a graph of that first set. It was pretty tough. All orange, red, and yellow numbers. That means I was at threshold or above. Now you can see zone 2, which is blue on this graph at the bottom. My teammates are also in blue kits. You can see them with the Type 2 fun on their backs. So there's some team dynamics going on here. There's actually a lot of us, but the field is big right now. Got a ways to go in this race, so we just want to stay in position in these easier bits. Staying below tempo. You can see my heart rate's going way down. So Captain Calypso wants to know how this works. Sorry if I didn't get to your question. I am suffering a bit. So we're all on rail bikes, and through a wireless connection, we're transmitting power into the game, which you see in the top left corner. And that is being run through the game's physics engine to propel our avatars forward. And so, with all that in mind, why not use that to race? So that's what we're doing here. We're racing. We got 21 miles to go. We're still in lap 1. 3 laps to go. Check it out at Zwift.com. The bike is connected to an Alienware Alpha. I know you guys will give me a hard time for Alienware, but that's what I got. And it's hooked up via USB cable to a little wireless chip, and it's the same wireless protocol that's used for bike computers. It's called ANT+. And so I weigh 200 pounds. I'm 6 feet 4 inches tall. It's about 193 centimeters, 90 kilos, and that's in the game and affecting how my avatar moves. The software does crash sometimes, like any software. It's not going to hurt anybody. Just sometimes hurts feelings, because when you're at a really high heart rate, your emotions run a little different, right? A little more hot. So sometimes people get upset when things don't go their way. Happens in real games as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit about training real quick. See this blue and green section scrolling across your screen? That's an area where I'm in basically zone 2. The race has calmed down, but pretty soon, when we have to climb out of this underwater tunnel, you're going to see it go back up into the reds and the oranges. And with that, I need to think about bringing up the pace to ready my body, but also get into position here. You don't want to be dangling on the back. You can see I'm on a bright blue bike. It's an achievement because I climbed like, I don't know, 5 times the height of Mount Everest, something like that, 100,000 feet. So over time, I got that achievement. There's other achievements, other bikes, jerseys, stuff. Okay, and as I said, I need to be in position, because here we go. See, that doesn't look like much, but that's a hill right there, boys and girls. Here goes Soxenham on the right. Yuri looking strong on a fray. Good job, dude. James on the front, stringing it out. We got a gap. Okay. Just building up my body, dark lag. I mean, at the same time, I do race outside. Mountain bike, cyclocross, also road bike. I won a road bike race this year. 2-man breakaway, 40 dudes chasing. Stayed away for 20 miles. A lot of willpower, but also a lot of Zwift. The effort for that race was almost identical to one of these Zwift races. Nobody's taking the lead here. All right, guys, I gotta stay focused for just a few moments. Coming up to another little hill. You saw how I got strung out on the last hill. I don't want to be at the back of the string. If the string snaps, I'm out of luck. So I want to be close to the front of the string, but not necessarily pulling the string. See what I mean? Here we go, moving up. There goes John. Oh boy, it's about to go off. If you're not moving up in the group, you're moving back. You always got to try to move up. These are all real people, all around the world. All on bikes. It's evening for Lookman. He's in Singapore. Bright and early here in the USA. Lunchtime, tea time in the UK. Huge boot bunch. Still together. You always have to be ready for it to get hard. And when it's hard, just make yourself get to the slowdown. Because it will slow down one way or another. Hill coming up. Watch the string. They're closing fast, so I don't want to get swept. Perfect. There goes Jonathan. Lookman's out of position. Somebody else has to chase. So there's strategy involved. Number one strategy is to not get dropped. So I gotta stay focused for just a few more moments here. Then I'll get back to the chat. Okay, a little more chill. Still gotta be near the front for a few moments here. Somebody's going. All the KRTs out the back. Okay, staying vigilant. How much does this cost? Yeah, several parts. It's pretty darn expensive. If you have a bike, you can get in pretty cheap. Basically, all you need is a iOS device, updated, pretty new one, and a Bluetooth speed and cadence sensor, and a trainer. That's the most basic setup. So that would run you probably, if you already have a bike, maybe $200. If you already have a computer. Wow, somebody just got struck by lightning in my screen. I'm gonna clip that. Okay. Maybe I'm not gonna clip that. I'll clip it later. You just saw that, right? the weather varies for each person's screen. But right now for my screen it's raining. Let's look at the graph again. You can see it's been hard. All that yellow and red. Hard yards for a minute. And now we're settling back in to blue. We're in lap 2 of 4. So again, I know that there's people in this race that are vastly stronger than I am that can beat me anyway. They can break away and win. They can out-sprint me and win. So my goal is to use the least amount of energy as possible to stay with this group and save it all for the finish. And that's what a lot of other people are trying to do, which is why I think we don't see any attacks going off the front. The bunch is getting a little smaller. We have a huge gap behind us, but still about 50 hombres. When you see certain people close to the front, that you know are strong, you also want to be close in case they make a move. The game is more fun to watch, yeah. That's how I got into it though. I mean, I'm already into bikes and racing bikes. So I saw the predecessor to Zwift Community Live on Nathan's personal channels, and I was watching that and got really into it. Nathan basically is a monk and plays Dota. He plays all sorts of games. I can't think of the other one with the cards. You guys are gonna hate it, but he just sits and plays games while he's riding. He does big miles, threshold intervals, just playing games. He's a pro mountain biker, so you gotta train somehow. So this is a really good tool. Jonathan's off. So Jonathan just had a tech glitch. You guys were asking about if the program crashes. Well, Jonathan just lost his wireless connection to his power. So he's not coming back. Here we go. Second time up this bit. Near the front of the string, but not pulling the string. Coming into a junction, gotta keep on the pedals because the steering's a little bit wacko sometimes. See that? Lost a wheel. So now we're going into the technical section again. Where where there's a little bit of rolling hills. Going into the third lap right now, halfway done. That's where the sprint is going to end at the end. It's still raining. Gotta stay focused and near the front. Even if it costs a little bit of energy, it's way less energy than having to chase. Nobody's really racing either. Nobody's making it hard. Lookman is the wheel sucker of choice today. All talk but no legs. That's Lookman Ascenders. You can see him in game in the white kit with the PTZ on the back. See that split? That's why you gotta be near the front. Gotta put the graph away. Important hill. Some of these guys need to race with the big dogs to see what a real race is about. It's attack after attack. James can't be the only one attacking. Still got to stay focused here. There's a little bit of climbing. Basically just any gradient. The draft effect is decreased. So you got to be on the pedals and on the wheels. We're in the third lap of 4 laps. We have 2 technical bits coming up. First one is this little hill. CC 4%. Now my teammates up the road, I'm not gonna chase. It's getting a little more feisty. There's the graph from what we just did. All those colors are the power based on zones. Red is ouch, blue is okay. The red line is my heart rate over time. Sorry for not answering the questions, guys. The race is heating up. Just watch back at the video on demand when it's available. I do plenty of talking in laps 1 and 2. Not as much as Lickman though. Thanks for the ride on, whoever that was. Yeah, Team Attack says the Redster on Twitch. Yeah, maybe. No Facebook Live comments. Thanks, guys. So, if you've been watching for a while, you know what the lap looks like. This is the chillest part. Going down into the ocean. And then we're going 30 miles an hour, but nobody's even really pulling. In the ocean. Excuse me. In the ocean, we're going fast as well. But it's not that hard until we get to the tunnel coming out. And then it's pretty hard for the next 5 minutes or so. This lap is going to be very hard. There's a lot of people still in the group. A lot of ways to lose the wheels. The draft is critical, right? So the draft is critical. You want to stay in the bunch. Just like in the Tour de France, if you're just watching, the pro riders, but it's not just pros. Any cyclist wants to be in a bunch and not pushing wind on their own. Yeah, the steering in the game's a little wild. I have no control over it. Sometimes it's very frustrating. Now we're all just lining up for this hill. It was pretty hard last lap. So third time up, expecting more fireworks. Really got to be in good position. You don't want to get gapped. You only want to get gapped because of your fitness, not because of your position. I mean, either way, you don't want to get gapped. So we're coming into about the last 10 or 15 minutes of racing. There's the hill. Made it through that test. Pretty tough. Not as bad as lap 2. Got a few hills here going into the last lap. It's gonna be hard for the next 5 minutes or so. Yeah, if anybody's got mod privileges, kick these guys. I can't do it right now. Big move.
You're ready to roll. It looks like everyone's sort of jumped in that last minute. We didn't know whether we're going to get some races, but everyone's joined that last minute now, ready to race, and I'm very keen. Who do you reckon is going to be on tonight, Jasper?
I reckoned my landlord on the lawnmower is going to be on tonight. She is going to be really busy as we got 1 minute to the start line. So I do apologize if you do hear a bit of buzzing in the background, but that's because I don't have an office space like we see west in Tasmania with Enterprise. I am stuck in my lovely little apartment with my studio set up that sometimes there's a lawnmower right on the outside. But reckon who's here? I saw Richard Cook, I saw John O'Bates, I saw Neil Patlaw. We're seeing a few new names as well. I mean, 50 riders. Anthony Ciano's here as well. 50 riders, Wes, for the Western E-Crit. That's a solid bunch.
That is a very solid bunch. So start with there at 10 minutes too. Usually we get people signing in, but we only had a couple sign in, and now all of a sudden, with a couple of minutes too, we've got a bunch of 50, which is awesome to see that people are getting involved in the Western E-Crit series as well as the Eastern.
You know, Wes and I were talking before the race went live. We're like, 7 riders on the start line? What's going on, guys? Is this what's working? But with 20 seconds to go, it seems like everyone has jumped in at the same time. Maybe they just don't want to be at the front of the pack, because when everybody starts, you can be drafting off riders, be saving watts. Maybe it's a tactical choice. Maybe they were warming up. Perhaps they're trying to pull an Oliver Jones and try to get that, epic KOM forward KOM prior to the race. But in 5 seconds time, we're going to see if it's going to pay off, as Steve Yates is one of the last guys to get in here, and the Western E-Crit by Zwift Community Live and KISS is underway, Wes.
Here we go, they're off and racing now. So do we have Keel in there tonight as well? Jeffrey's in there and amongst it?
Jeff has decided not to race the E-Crit tonight, neither the East nor the West.
Right, so off and racing. We're zooming in here on Rupert Walsh. Walsh has been very active in this series and loves to go on the attack and make sure he keeps that pace nice and high. Ciano is one of those fast sprinters in here and amongst it. Always likes to try and finish off the job if he's there at the end for a sprint. So he really actually usually saves his energy quite well and plays that sort of role of the sprinter of not doing too much work, saving his legs for that last sprint at the end.
Don't forget John O'Bates. I mean, we should almost have,
Pocus.
We've got so much room down below here in the awesome overlay provided by Zwift Community Live. We could almost have a John O'Bates counter. How many times can you drop the name John O'Bates? Huh? He has swiftly become a fan favorite here amongst the commentator duo on Zwift Community Live. There's just something about the underdog story, which is I mean, many love to see Bling take the green jersey. That was an underdog story. Is John O'Bates the Bling of the E-Crit?
John O'Bates is definitely the underdog of these E-Crits, and he's had that broken arm at the start of the season, got a little bit out of cycling, and this Zwift series set has lifted him back up. He reached out to Jasper and myself and said that, thanks very much for the shout-outs, and he's really getting into this series and really getting his racing going again now. So virtual racing, it does lift up the spirits and the form, and we're seeing that here tonight with so many other people joining in here now. We've got a lot of new names in there by looks of it as well, Jasper.
Oh, and I have to issue a retraction because none other than Jeffrey Keel, he was hiding at the very, very back. He's even rocking a different kit tonight, Wes. He's not rocking the Vision kit. He's in a Wahoo Kicker kit. Why?
Oh, he's going stealth. He's going rogue. He's going rogue, is he?
Oh, God, I've got a
kit on.
As a proud member of Vision, I've got to take a picture right here and send it to upper management to, dish out some fines because, as you know, as a past professional cyclist, you've always got to rock that kit. Actually, wasn't it a UCI rule that you have to be training in your team-issued kit, Wes?
I'm not sure about training, but definitely racing. You have to be racing in your kit. So, yeah, training would definitely come down to the team putting pressure on you, because obviously if you're photographed out of having a coffee or something, then you're not rocking your sponsor's kit. So, yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Maybe he's jumped in the last minute here and didn't have time to change that kit over. We'll have to find that out later on the Zwift page.
He pulled a Ben Simpson and he logged in on his wife's account. And she's got the Wahoo Fitness jersey out on course. But if that is indeed, which I do not think it is, his wife's account, she's got the Tron bike. She is a proper climber, a proper cyclist. Even I don't have the Tron bike. Do you have the Tron bike, Wes?
Not yet, to be honest. No, I don't have the Tron bike. So anyone rocking one of those Tron bikes has definitely put the work in. So respect there.
Anyone with a Tron bike out there, that's just... If you don't know what you have to do to actually get that fluorescent bike, you have to climb 50,000 meters. The toughest stage in the tour this year had an elevation change of 5,000 meters. It's the equivalent of racing that stage 10 times over. It is so difficult and it requires so much perseverance and so much mental strength to continuously climb. I know, Wes, some of these guys are like real hardcore because they didn't get the Tron bike going up the epic KOM. They did the forward KOM, the 2-minute effort, like a million times, again and again and again. Wow. I mean, what?
That is commitment right there. I just saw in there in the mix there, S. Miller. That isn't Shane Miller in amongst that, is there? Or is it another S. Miller? I'm assuming that Shane Miller would have his name as GP Lama probably instead of S. Miller. But yeah, just have a little bit of a look through there. While you do that, I'll have a bit of a chat about this series. So the top 3 from this series will be eligible to go down to Melbourne and join the other top six from the Eastern Series. So that'll be held on the 9th of September down in Melbourne at the Rafa store. So that will be a hell of an evening. Even if you're not, not westbound, maybe by time. Some of these riders aren't from the western side of Australia, but they're time bound to be able to race at 9 o'clock at night. So if you are down in Melbourne way around that time, the day before the World Championships on 9th September, do come along to the Zwift event. It will be at the Rafa store in Melbourne. So it's just opened the last 2 weeks at the Rafa store. So it looks pretty cool. Go on Facebook and have a check out of their new store. It looks pretty trendy. Back to you, Jasper.
And you Tasmanians, Melbourne, Sydney, Perthians, whatever you call yourself down under, I actually chose to go to the E-Crit over the World Championships because I'd already booked some of my Airbnbs for Bergen. I was prepared to take a 5-day vacation so I can go home, go to Norway, see Peter Sagan, Greg van Avermaet, but instead, I'd actually rather go to the E-Crit. I'd rather go down to Australia and meet the lovely bunch that is all you guys that are racing both the East and the West. Let's not forget my good friend and co-commentator, Wes. But this is not, by the way, it's not Shane Miller. It is not, well, it could be Shane Miller, but it's not GP Lama. Because if it was, my little Swiftophone would give me a notification because I am following Shane on Swift Mobile Link, and it would give me a notification that he's currently riding, which he is not. But GP Lama's wife, Vaughn? It's not Vaughn Miller, is it?
It's not Miller, I don't think. No, it's definitely Vaughn, but I don't think it's Miller. But we do see S. Miller here. Whether it is Shane, he'll get back to us on that and let us know if it is. He's having a bit of a struggle here, so do put in here now, Miller. Make sure you try and hold on to that group. He's rocking the army kit there, stealthing it. So we do want to see other people in amongst this. Make sure that they really give it their best and hold into this group as long as can. Nice big group tonight of 50 riders. So we will give some other shout-outs to some other names that are just starting to feature in this race. Obviously, we know John O'Bates, Ben Simpson, Richard Cook, but we'd like to give a few shout-outs to a couple of the newcomers in this race and make sure they keep rocking up. 8 rounds to go, so 160 points left, so you can still try and get up there on those points and try and crack into that top 3.
By the way, it's Von Mitch, I think it's called, pronounced Veronica Mitch. That is what Shane Miller's wife is named, who's been racing the women's category in the E-Crit. But it looks like she's not rocking up tonight. So S. Miller, S. Miller is not linked up on SwiftPower.com, and enabled to actually gain points towards your overall standings. You need to be logged into SwiftPower.com. But it looks like he has done a bit of racing recently, finishing 16th, 9th, and 11th in his recent escapades out on Zwift. But off the back already, and there is no shame in that, as we are watching the strongest from the western part of Australia racing tonight right here on the Volcano Crit circuit. 33 kilometers in length. They've done 5Ks. The usual bunch is near the front, but there's an addition of L. Rasmussen. Let's take a look. I've not seen Mr. Rasmussen out there previously. Take a look over at swiftpower.com. Rasmussen is a masters racer. He is actually from New Zealand, who has been winning races recently in the EVR and TBR and the Zwift Handicap race. He's even been winning the Extreme Racing Series. Wes, this could be the Oliver Jones. This could be the Bumblebee of the West.
This could be. So New Zealand are not eligible for points, but definitely eligible to mix it up in this racing and make this a really interesting race. So I wonder whether he's one of those aggressive sort of racers that likes to attack towards the end of the race, or whether he's one of those fast sprinters that likes to sit in, look after legs, like Sukarno. He's one of the fastest sprinters in here, likes to look after his legs and certainly finishes off if there is a bunch kick.
It is Lee Rasmussen, his first time here in the E-Crit. It's great to see the Kiwi get in amongst the riders today. He's going to be one of the pigeons scrambling for chips, crisps. Trying to roll back the memory on that one.
Seagulls going for chips.
The pigeons going for crisps.
Pigeons, maybe in London, mate. Maybe in London. We have seagulls down here, but yeah.
Oh, you know,
Ben Simpson in amongst it. So Ben Simpson's out in front on the point situation. He's very, very consistent, rocking up each week. So he's on 243 points. So well clear, almost 100 points clear of the next rival. So Ben has been really consistent. Finished 3rd last week. So last week we didn't get to broadcast, but we're back this week. So making sure this Western E-Crit is covered as well. And we would like to see some action towards the end of this race. I reckon we'll see some fireworks. And people, I reckon Jeffrey usually always likes to stir things up and does a really strong attack and loves busting up the pack.
Jeff is a machine. Like, it cannot be understated. Without a doubt, he'll find some sort of way to go to the Live E Racing finale in Melbourne. But that's not his only focus. You know, there's another Australian stage race going on right now, Tour de Oz. It is a race that takes place over 10 weeks. I believe it's every Thursday and Saturday every week. And it takes your overall time and puts it together towards a general classification. Guess who's leading that race? Jeffrey Keel. So while he's beasting out in the E-Crit, he's also beasting out in Tour de Oz. This man is relentless. He is, you know, some people have just got that, you know, they can just taste blood. Jeff is a shark.
Jeffrey Keel, keeping it real. So he's in amongst this pack. He certainly is a strong one rider. We've already know that now from him leading Tour de Oz and also creeping up the points on this Western E-Crit series. So my guess is that he'll be definitely wanting to make sure that he gets into that top 3, picking up those points and etching closer and closer towards Rupert Walsh and Mikey H.
You know,
but we will see. Sorry, mate, you go.
I was going to say, this is what they hear every time Jeffrey Keel goes on to the attack. It's my time to pull out the phone. Let's take a listen. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what they hear once Jeffrey Keel goes towards the front with jaws all wide open, ready to take on to the attack. Oh, Wes won, Jesper won. It's now a tie ball game.
It's tied, neck and neck here. So we do see a bit of a move going here now, a bit of an attack. So someone's looks like they used a power up. Ben Simpson's also up there lighting it up. So people are really starting to either try to use up those power-ups or just shake the legs out a little bit here and test people to see how they're going to go and react to this now. So we see Ben out in front here leading it. I think he's wanting a bit of a reaction here, see if someone's going to come across or go over the top and go for a bit of a move here to try and create that little bit of a gap in the bunch. We are going up through the volcano. We do see someone go over the top of them now and really put in. So that who is that going over the top there?
It is Giron, which I believe it looks like the Isle of Man flag, I would say that is. He's actually not Isle of Man. What's the other? It's Jersey. Could be Jersey. My British independent Isles is not very good, the knowledge, so sorry guys. But he attacked off the front, going back, racing for KRT. But you, by the way, I want to go back to a thing you mentioned before the Jaws. Ben Simpson 100 points ahead. But he's not really resting, he's not really at ease. I know he hooked up with you recently to get some sort of training tips, and from personal experience, that's a great way if you want to get stronger out there with en route coaching from Wes Salzberger. But what have you encouraged Ben to do differently going forward with 7 or 8 weeks left of racing?
Oh, I can't share all that information, Jasper, but I've certainly helped him make him more efficient on the bike, making sure he's all set up, and just also the mental side of it as well, making sure he's prepared for these e-crits. What are you doing there, mate?
You said you can't share it. How about if you give your little Benjamin?
So yeah, just making sure that he's well prepared for these races. I've given him some efforts to do also to cope with those sort of efforts that he's having to do in this, some stop-starting sort of efforts. So he's making sure that he's used to that sort of style of racing. So really making sure those efforts suit this style of racing. So Ben has done everything I've asked him to do and a little bit more. So he's really doing well with it. And I think that's going to show this last part of the 8 rounds we've got left.
I hope so, because Ben has been... It's almost too nice to say, but he's been struggling. He's been having a tough time following up with Jeffrey, with Ben Van Dam when he was here a few weeks ago. And Ben is really... I hope to see him rejuvenated and back up near the front and in contention, because when we first picked up on the E-Crit, it was Cook, it was Gills, it was Simpson. And now with the addition of stronger engines, stronger locomotives, looks like Ben Simpson's IC3 trainer has been slowly pushed off the back. So... hopefully he can find himself ready to attack off the front again at some point in the race.
Yeah, it is a very strong level of that has come through and filtered into this. So that has caused Ben to lift his game as well. So he's making sure that he's up near the front and making sure he's not missing any of these moves. We do see Richard Cook now go on the move. So Richard Cook is in the Aussie Hump Day team. Also is Ben Simpson, but they are sort of half working together, not really working together. They're sort of making sure that they don't chase each other down, but at the same time, they aren't working fully together.
So, what you're describing essentially Nara Quintana, Alejandro Valverde, Mikel Landa, Chris Froome, Andre Greipel, Mark Cavendish.
Yeah, there's an alliance there. Yeah, we've got a slight alliance there, so... we do see them go off together almost here now. So Ben's gone across. This could be a good move here. Looks like there's a little bit of a gap opening up here now. So these guys will work together most likely. Who's the third rider back in there? I can't quite make that out.
Walsh. It's Rupert. It's good old Rupert.
Rupert Dupe. Rupe is up there. Get his dupes up, and he is making sure he's in with a fight in this racing here in the E-Crit Western Series. Keel has done none of that. Jeffrey has gone straight across and shut that down, made sure that does not go anywhere. He doesn't want to anyone going off the front without him in it.
If there's a break, you have to have Jeff in it. Like, that's just how... he is the Fabian Cancellara of this group. Not only does he have the legs to do the dictating, he's also got, the finesse. He's got the words to back it up. So, if you're not in the attack with Jeff, Jeff will just bring you back. He's going to wave that finger and go, no, you come back here. And that's what he's been doing again. But it was a good move nonetheless. Aussie Hump Day, they're trying to shake things up near the front. It almost cost John O'Bates.
Yes, that's it. This is one of those things that happens in this Egret series that people want to try and get together here. They've got to start to think about how they can benefit off each other and bounce off each other, because Jeffrey is quite strong. So these other guys in this race are going to have to create that alliance there and make sure they work together almost until obviously it comes to the pointy end, but work together to try and distance themselves from Keel, because they really don't want to come to the line with him there. And also he's quite strong, so he can do those bridges across to them, but they're trying to make him work for it. So they're not just going to throw down their towels and just think, okay, Jeffrey's got this race. They're really taking him on. So hats off to all these riders getting in amongst it and working together.
Wes, you raced against a fair share of Jeffrey Keels in your past as a pro rider. How do you deal with these unhumanly strong athletes that you have to somehow beat in a race?
Well, we just touched on that earlier. You have to work together with other people as well to make sure if you aren't the strongest, then you are stronger in numbers. So that's what we're trying to see here tonight, that the other riders not almost sort of gang up on Jeffrey, because obviously he has the legs to back it up and make sure that that doesn't happen. But that is not going to stop these riders from challenging him.
Not going to stop them from challenging him, but he's sitting at the front. Heart rate is way below working heart rate right now for Jeffrey. He is where he wants to be, but as we've seen time and time again, if they can't drop him on the road, they have to drop somehow his internet. So maybe they're sending over a few spies, a few industrial spies to try and drop his internet. But what's happening, Wes?
Yeah, but we could see a little bit of... We could see a little bit of here's Johnny. What do you reckon? What do you reckon, Johnny? Are you up for it? Hocus pocus. Are you ready, Johnny? Because we are ready to see you fly. Bam, bam, bam. Come on, Johnny.
Oh God! Just imagine if you are John O'Bates, and suddenly you hear that over the radio, over the headphones, in the DS and the speaker, somebody playing your music. I really hope that you guys are enjoying this good sense of humor, as we are doing it with a lighthearted heart and just having a bit of fun while doing the broadcast, because there's a lot on the action. It's still going on there. We've got our personal favorites, even though, every commentator is supposed to be neutral, but Colin Kirby has got his favorites. I'm sure Matt Keenan has got his favorites. Rob McEwen always loved a wreck. See, I actually can't listen to McEwen's commentary, even though I would love to, but what's his stance on the sprints this year? Did he ever mention anything about that?
He stand on the sprint. You mean of how things panned out?
Well, not exactly how everything panned out, but the fact that you got Bohani dishing out elbows, Sagan being thrown out. Mm-hmm. He was known to be a scrappy sprinter. What did he make of everything?
Yeah, he did say that he didn't agree with Sagan being thrown out of the race. Baden Cook was very loud on this situation. He definitely didn't agree, and actually was a few articles about that as well, saying that it was disgraceful that he was thrown out of the race because in a sprint there is an element of risk, and Cav did choose that inside line, so it was tightening up, and that's just part of the racing. I think obviously it's not something we want to see happen, and which what Robbie touched on, but that is part of the racing. So it is a very dangerous sport, and that can sometimes happen in the sprints.
Well, this is going to sound completely wrong, but I'm kind of happy Cavendish took that inside line, because that resulted in him getting on Zwift. Suddenly, 2 weeks later, you see Cavendish joining the Aussie Hop Day ride. I love Cavendish. He's a great sprinter. He can be a bit of personality sometimes, but still, he's a great sprinter. And now he's on Zwift. And now, if I ever get the chance to see him on Zwift, I'm going to try and sprint against him just for fun. So...
So he's trying to do just a nice casual ride, and Jasper keeps going past him and then back behind him, past him, back behind him.
You bet I'll take a screenshot every single time. I'll be like over the shoulder, Jasper in the drops, Cavendish sitting there. Nope.
It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Back to the race now. We see Keel going up towards the front here. Are these pedestrians out in front that we're catching now, or they are racers? No,
they're riders. Actually, they're racers that have been lapped, is what they are.
Okay, right. So they're not pedestrians, they're part of this racing. So give a shout out to the rider we're about to catch now. Give them a thumbs up, bit of encouragement if you can, to make sure that we keep these riders coming back next week. So try and tuck in there and get back into this bunch now if you can. Hold on to that wheel. even though you're a lap down, you're still part of this race and still part of this community. So make sure you stomp on those pedals and try and keep in this pack.
And we're actually halfway through the race, just like that. In amongst all the banter, all the discussions, all the racing, 16 kilometers down, 20 minutes racing, it's actually been somewhat fast. Like, still, 3 watts per kilo, 4 watts per kilo is fast for the Western E-Crit. It's how they like to keep their pack all together until somebody attacks. But 20 minutes in, they've got 15, 16 Ks left of racing now. And we'll see if somebody's about to light it up near the front halfway through the race. We said earlier in the Eastern broadcast that always, pretty much always comes down to a sprint. In the Western broadcast, it's not always the same. It's often an attack, but what just happened to Jeff? Did Jeff just get hit by the Hocus Pocus?
Uh-oh. I don't know what's going on there.
I love the underlaying tone of just Hocus Pocus in the background while Jeff is trying to sprint his way back into the pack. Oh, it's poetic.
I think there must have been a mechanical there. Must have been a dropout.
Maybe he's just toying with him right about now. He's like, oh, look, guys, I'll drop off the back and I'll get back up. And if you don't know Jeff, he was part of the Grand Fondo Masters Series, the World Championships that Scotty Weiss was the overall winner of. And I believe Jeff finished top 10 in that. So Jeffrey now got off the back, had to put in effort, and I think he just flipped the switch. Now the lights are on, and Jeff is just blowing steam now. He's going off the front, and he is all alone. But the thing about this, Wes, is he can take the win. He can take 20 points. He's on an upward trajectory. He'll find a way into top 3. But if you are Richard Cook, if you are, well, Steve Yates, Rupert Walsh, Gills, you really got to fight for the 19 points that's up for grabs in second place. Because you're more afraid of the other guys.
Yeah, that's it. That there is that factor that comes into it. They've got to make sure that even though, that if that top place is gone by Keel Jeffries out there in front and takes that win, there is still 19 points up for offer. So, it's only 1 point less. So that is still a very good fight for those guys coming back for that second place. So it's very important if they want to keep those points for this series that they do rock up, because even if there's someone like Jeffries going to take the win, there is still 19 points up for grabs.
I'm going to take a look right now over at the results. So we've got, in second place, we got Mikey H at 164. Rupert Walsh in third place at 161. Cook in fourth place at 143. Jono Bates in fifth place at 120. It's a really tough competition. Second and third place, separated by 3 points. So if you're Rupert Walsh, I'm not sure Mikey H is racing tonight, but if you are Rupert, you're definitely keeping an eye out on him, and you're aiming to just claw back 1 point at a time. But if you're Jono Bates, you're about 40 points down from cracking into top 3. You've got to be really attentive today. You've got to be the one making the moves, because 7 weeks left, 40 points, it's going to be tough. It's going to require you to really start digging at that gap.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, we do see some of the other riders back also there. It's still at 110 points. Anthony West, we've got Steve Yates, who's on 87. And then back from that in 10th spot is Ciano. So Anthony Ciano is back in that 10th spot on that 80 points. So he is still quite a fast finisher. So he can pick up those other points there that are on offer. But it's still 8 rounds to go. So there's still a good amount of points there left. But it has to come up with consistency here now, making sure that you can make it each week for this race.
Ideally, you would not want it to come down to the final racing week. If you, that's another thing. Coming down to the 12th of September, are you going to be racing that day if you've already guaranteed your spot, or are you going to take a day off, Wes?
Taper down a little bit. Most likely you wouldn't be able to help yourself but to take on that racing as well. So, this is it is something that these riders are very passionate about. We've seen riders going on holiday, we've seen them going on their work expeditions, taking their trainers with them. So I doubt whether they'd miss one when they've come so far.
But the thing about it is, though, you've got the final online E-Crit is on the 12th of September. The actual live racing finale is on the 19th. Is 7 days enough to recover?
Yes, in a nutshell, 7 days is enough to recover from 45 to an hour of power, depending on the course. That's enough time to recover, in my opinion, definitely. Okay.
So that would almost mean that it's better to do the E-Crit, just to not forget how it all works?
Well, you're going to, 7 days out, it's good to have a hit out and a bit of a shake the legs. So I definitely think it wouldn't be at a disadvantage getting involved in it, as long as you're happy and healthy. You know, if you're sick or you had an injury or something niggling, then most likely I would probably give the suggestion that you miss it to save yourself for the last round. But other than that, I definitely would recommend getting involved.
See, I do not believe the final course has been announced or revealed yet. I don't even know. I don't think it's even been decided yet what the finals course is going to be in Melbourne. If you had a choice, Wes, which of the three courses would you like to see? Actually, we haven't seen Richmond. They haven't raced on a Wednesday because it's the Tuesday E-Crit. So, if it had to be Watopia or London, what would you choose?
I'd say Watopia. I really enjoy the racing up through the volcano and the attacks and that there. But also it's a bit of a tough battle because I really do enjoy London as well for the fast sprints and the massive big lead outs. And yeah, it's 50-50 for me almost. But if I had to flip the coin, I would probably say Watopia with this sort of course.
See, for me, I totally agree with you. But the whole thing about the Watopia course is it's 40 minutes long. It's enough for a breakaway to succeed if you've got the legs. If you really got it, you can break away at 40 minutes. It's short enough that an underdog can have a good day, can have diamonds, can attack. London, it's 7 times up that devilish incline that nobody likes. Nobody likes that incline. It can go away. Nobody wants it. But here in the volcano course, everybody's got a chance. And that's what I really enjoy.
Yep, yeah, definitely, Jasper. That's right. Everyone can have a chance in this volcano circuit, and 50 riders have decided to throw the dice in and have a chance tonight. So we will see. Now we're coming through that 30-minute mark now, so getting towards a very pointy end of this race. It'll be interesting to see whether. Oh, what have we got here? We've got we've got a power drop out there.
He is done for the day.
He was looking quite pretty with his previous results. When we looked through his parcours, he seemed to have won everything that was in shot of racing. So that was really sad to see him drop out there. So hopefully he can join back in next week. But thanks very much for showing up. But yeah, bad luck there.
And now Jeffrey once again going to the front. If we, looking forward, we haven't really discussed the finale yet, all the whole aspects of it. Even though Jeffrey's attacking, and we'll acknowledge this, if you have to think forward to the finale, who would you count as the favorites of all the riders we've seen so far? We still don't know who's actually going to it, but of what we've seen, who would you say was the overall favorite to win?
On the
19th of September
tonight,
in Melbourne.
On the 19th of September,
who would you say would be the favorite?
Depending on the course, also I would say too, because that course does play a big factor in the results, because the London course is quite different to the Watopia, and also a longer race. So you do usually see the London always is a sprint, and some of those sprints have been quite long range. So someone like Ockerby and Shaw, like if it was on that course, it'd be very tough for me to pick against those two. But then even on the uphill one, it's hard. It's pretty hard to probably go past Ockerby, I'd say. If Ockerby's inside there, I reckon he would be the one to beat.
I can't wait to see the actual physical expression of pain, because...
Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to seeing it actually live, and we can see all these riders just absolutely hammering them. And they'll be next to other competitors too, which is just pretty cool to think about that. They're racing next to their rivals right alongside them. So
how many elbows do you think is going to be slung?
Yeah, it's going to bring it to a new level, that's for sure. And I'm really looking forward to that on the 9th of September in Melbourne at the Rafa store. So the new Rafa store just opened 2 weeks ago. So jump online, check the Rafa store out. Looks pretty cool from the photos I saw on Facebook. So if you're in Melbourne, go check it out and have a look.
I'm pretty sure the tickets are going to be free anyway for the actual live event. So if you're in Melbourne, the home of cycling in Australia, you should really show up. I mean, Rafa, there'll be drinks, there'll be good company, there'll be racing. I mean, it's like you're going to a local crit or you're going to a track event, but you're just going indoor. This is the future of cycling, ladies and gentlemen. In 10 years' time, the Tour de France, the first stage, it's going to be on like Zwift or something. In 5 years' time, when they're in Tour de Switzerland.
Prologue.
Yeah, no, you're laughing, but it could honestly happen.
But if there's really bad weather conditions or something, like it's storming weather and there's a prologue or something on, they could jump on Zwift for the prologue.
Well, like imagine you have the Tour de Switzerland, which is always plagued by rain, or Tour de Suisse. The thing is, why not just have one of the stages indoor, I'm talking five years down the road when every trainer has been like brought up to the highest standard and Zwift has exploded into this massive, gigantic world of training. I would love to see that. Could you imagine Peter Sagan versus like Bling on a trainer indoor?
I think for now, let's set that up with the GCN crew. Sounds like something they'd be interested in doing, a Zwift off against Bling Matthews and Peter Sagan.
Fair enough. I actually don't think the trainers currently could measure enough watts to actually keep that fair, because the kicker goes to 2,000 watts, which is by far more than you'll ever need for an amateur cyclist. But I think peak power, it could be close.
It could be close. It could be close. So that would be really interesting to see. But back to the racing here. We see Simpson in amongst it at the front here. So Keel is still sort of biding his time. He must be sort of waiting it out now. We're at that 30-minute mark, so not too long to go now. Probably around the 10 or 12 minutes to go now, Jasper. So I wonder whether Keel is going to take a fly here or Jono Bates. We've gave him a few shout-outs, old Jono Bates, the hocus pocus. Maybe he'll do a little sneaky attack. Or could he be saving it now? Because he's starting to get some pretty good form out of this now and is focusing on those finishes as well as attacking now.
He is. See, the thing is, the longer Keel waits, the higher the possibility is of somebody actually countering the attack and maybe going past him in that sprint finish. If you're Keel, your strong suit is attacking early and maintaining that gap and driving everybody out of your wheel. The longer you wait, it's more likely that somebody else is going to sit in your wheel and have that extra bit of like brain capacity to attack away from you and actually take the sprint maybe. But we'll see. Today looks like to be the day an outsider, an underdog could take the win.
Yeah, Jono Bates could take the win tonight. That would be really awesome to see. John, he's finished second twice now, I think, as Jasper, if you recall.
Yes,
so it would be cool if Jono Bates could get up there for the big W. So that's going to be my pick of the day. Jono Bates for the win. So throwing it out there early.
See, I think if I have to go back 5 weeks, I think I can count the amount of times you picked Jono Bates to win. Last week, the week before it, the week after that, and then going further back. I mean, come on, guys, get married already. It's already past the second base, the third base, guys.
Jono Bates.
No, go ahead.
Jono Bates is one of those riders that just loves. I think he just loves the community. Also in this Zwift. So it's not just a racing. It's you're part of a crew here. Getting in amongst this racing. So people like to go on after this racing, have a good banter and chat. Me and Jasper get involved in some of those comments. Jasper does the west sign pretty good. He hasn't got the east sign nailed like me. But apart from that, we are really getting amongst this racing and getting part of this community. So that's what it's about, building the community here in Zwift. Offering this racing and offering these shout outs to these riders. So do make sure you come along to each one of these. We'll definitely try to give some shout outs to new riders. So don't be afraid that we will just cover the main riders in these bunches. We will give shout outs to the other riders that are joining in this series late.
Speaking of new riders, I think I saw Gordon is dropped and is hanging on. He's 2 laps down, but at least he's actually hanging on to this group, which means he might have had a mechanical, might have had the legs to do something today, but I never got my prediction in. I would like to lock in my lottery ticket, and I'm looking at him right now. Our good friend who, you mentioned going on vacation. He went to Singapore. He found a watt bike at a Singapore cycle studio, spin studio, and he tried to race the E-Crit. Rupert Walsh, Rupert Doop, as you call him. He's going to be the one going the distance today.
Super Doop, Rupert Doop. So, Rupe, you said he was on what bike, was it?
It was it was on a watt bike. The worst thing is you're not the first one to make that joke to me within the company of Zwift. Yeah. So I was awake to that. There's Tom. Last time somebody did that, I kept saying watt bike. They said, what bike? What bike? What bike? What bike?
I can imagine it going on for 15 minutes. I'm glad you're up to speed with it, or we could have missed the end of the race with us going back and forth. But we are now back in on the racing there. So Keel is still up around the front there, keeping it real, Keel, just making sure that he's keeping everything in check, sort of playing a little bit of a role of an eagle, looking over everyone, making sure that nothing's sort of going to go out and where he wants to pounce. So he's really making sure that he's in amongst this here and doesn't want to let any of these moves go now. He knows that these other riders are prepared to work with each other if they do go away. So he's just playing that little bit of like a meerkat up on the rock, looking out, making sure there's nothing coming.
What about Neil Pedlaw? He was one of the strongest riders in the initial few rounds of the E-Crit of the West Series. He then had a few, I guess he took a break from the E-Crit, but now he's back. I got to meet him in Sydney and the rest of the Aussie Hump Day guys. They're a really cool bunch. And it looks like Aussie Hump Day has really got the numbers of this group with Ben Simpson, with Neil Padlaw, and with Cook in this group. Maybe today is the day Aussie Hump Day takes a break and goes off the front. But Neil Padlaw also has one of the best setups I've seen in a long time, mainly because he doesn't race without coffee. You've got to have coffee, Wes.
Coffee at 9 o'clock at night. Yeah, I guess he's not afraid of rolling the dice of trying to get some sleep after that. But it would work out quite well if the Tour de France was still on, because he could just roll it on afterwards and watch the Tour. But obviously that's not going to be the case now. But we will see some other riders probably try and attack this last part now. There will have to be someone here who want to throw a haymaker in. Who is that? Gordon up there also. Is Gordon been featured in this racing before? I haven't seen that name.
9 kilometers down on the group. He's not featured before. He's been lapped, but he's actually staying with the group. That's impressive.
And hats off. Give a ride on to Gordon. Good job getting him back there amongst it. So we will see some of these riders, like Jesper said, lapped and then jumping back in the pack. So if they can, try and hold on in there and make sure that you do try and rack up each week and try and hold on that little bit longer. Just push your limits and to really experience the Zwift. You can still be part of this community, and we will definitely try and keep giving those shout-outs.
Definitely will. Following Jeffrey Keel, I've missed the call. I'm going to send a quick text, Wes, if you can take over the reins just for 2 seconds.
No worries. So we will see some hocus pocus up there. Johnny is in amongst it. So Johnny, for those that don't know, Johnny broke his arm at the start of the season and now is getting in amongst this now and really taking on this racing, and it's lifted his spirits, and he's reached out to me and Jasper and said that how much he is really just enjoying these the community on Zwift as well, and the banter after the racing. Sicano is also up there at the front. He's sort of making sure that nothing's going to go away here. Rupert Walsh, that dark horse who used to always doesn't mind doing a fly. He really likes to do those attacks and make sure that it really stretches everyone out and goes on with that move. But he also is quite... all these riders are getting quite strong in their finish now also. Even Ben Simpson is quite strong in his finish if it hasn't been a really too hard a day with Keel taking it up early like we've seen in the other races. But everyone is sort of nutting this out now, looking at each other. It doesn't look like anyone's going to start to make a move too early, and maybe everyone has that power-up that they're after, that aero power-up. That's the main thing that all of these riders out here will be making sure. We do see a drafting being used now, and that's being used because they're about to come under that banner and grab another power-up. So we do see a little bit of action here. The lap rider going off the front here, making a bit of a move with Keel, trying to follow that move here. And Jasper has the bell ready. We're about to go into the arches. Make sure you've got something to bang it against there, Jasper. Technical issue there. Mavic service neutral has got him back in service. And here we go for the bell.
Hey!
Ding-a-ling-ding. Ding-a-ling-ding. Keel over the line now. Keel is going for the lap, one lap of power, just going for out on his own. He said, I've had enough of this. I don't want to make sure that these riders don't attack me in the 1-2 because they do have numbers there with that Aussie Hump Day group. We see now we see Neil going up there. Sicano's starting to move across that bridge. And now who else is going to come back? Is John O'Bates going to come up from here? I hope that Bates can get amongst this. Sicano right at the front here, making sure he's putting that power down, holding that now, wants to get Keel back. He doesn't want to let this go out because it's only one lap to go, Jasper.
One lap to go, but this is the danger. Keel is putting everything on the line here. If somehow this doesn't work out and the group behind him manages to work together and catches Keel, you would assume he's burnt a match and he wouldn't have time to recover and burn another match within this time gap. So he's got Ciano hot on his wheel. He's got Ben Simpson, Padlaw, and Cook all ready to follow that move, and it really looks like Ben Simpson has really been rejuvenated, and he's now sitting in second place with a solid gap down on the main peloton. Ben Simpson finally awake, finally ready for the party, and now Jeffrey Keel 4 seconds up. I don't think Jeff wins this today. The way he's been racing it today, this is not happening.
I think it's going to come back here. I think this is going to be very hard for him to hold on with this long range attack. We do see the other riders starting to bunch up and slow down a little bit here. We don't see a lot of working there, so everyone's sort of starting to think about it again. Now Sicano goes back up to the front Rolsh and that look like they're going to come back to that group here now. Cook back there also. So we do see Keel still out in front there, holding that power down. So the riders back here now are really going to have to commit now and work together almost a little bit here.
But it's only at 5 seconds right now. Is the gap up to Jeff? The group behind is coming back. You got Ben Simpson. They're being joined by John O'Bates, Petlon, Cook, where it's Bates doing the work at the front here, trying to bring back the 2 Aussie Hump Day riders. But it's going to come back, and that's only 5 seconds up to Jeff. Jeff is putting out 5 watts per kilo. He is lucky to have a Japanese pedestrian out on course that he's currently hitching a ride off. But still, 6 seconds, it's definitely possible. You've got the group behind. It's turning into a Derny race between the 2 Japanese pedestrians. One leading the front group, second one leading the back group.
Yeah, we're at the Kirin school here by the looks of it with the Japanese racing, and they look like they're really turning it on here. The other riders are going to have to come past soon though and give them a bit of a hand because they really need to work together here now. Aussie Hump Day have the numbers. Are they going to work together here now? Because they really need to work together to bring this back. We can see that they're in the background in the shadows there, but there's still, Keel is not going to let up on this power. He's holding down. He's at that 162 beats and that 104, 105 cadence there, so quite a high cadence. He's really spinning the legs out. I think we'll probably see him, if it does come down to it, I reckon we'll see him just getting caught before the line.
He'll be close. It'll be interesting to see if he's got anything left for that final kick, because 5 seconds on the flat is a lot. But remember, the final 750 meters, that's uphill, and that's where if you got that extra kick, you can really negate that gap.
Yeah, you can, and that's where it's going to come into account, whether he can hold that power on when he starts that climb, because it is quite difficult to hold that power on when that surging bunch from behind starts to light it up and use those power-ups. That time just comes dwindling down. So Simpson up the front here now, doing a good pace of turn, and we will see the other riders roll over him now. Looks like a bit of a collusion there. Everyone's sort of starting to work together now here. So this is in favour of these guys in this pack here. Oh, we see someone do a little bit of leg shake there, just starting to see whether they want to go out on their own here and not work with the group. So that is a Japanese rider, if I'm not correct there, that's just decided to do a fly over there.
But
he's gone for the kamikaze effect straight over there by himself.
Siana's trying to get just a hitch a ride as well, but not happening. Jeffrey Keel is lucky to have found a police escort near here at the front. 7 seconds gap, 10 seconds gap. It's just building out as Siano is carrying Ben Simpson for second place. It's going to be close now, because don't rule out John O'Bates and Richard Cook and the rest, because Cook is popping his aero power perhaps just too early here, but he is going for the long move. He's going for the overall victory.
On for the long move. So jump on here, guys. Make sure you jump on that wheel. There he goes. And he's going to go for the long move here. Looks like Sicano is in the wheel of him there, using the power-ups now. Simpson doesn't look like he's used his power-up yet. He may be saving it. This could work out really good for Simpson. He looks pretty here. If he's got a power-up, he needs to use it now. And we will see an absolute nail-bite here. Will he be able to close this gap? It is coming up to the home straight. He has to go now. Where's that power up? I don't think he has the power up. That's very unfortunate. If he had that power up, he was in with a real shot of trying to catch him there. He's going to secure third place here. Oh, we do see some other riders coming up from behind now.
It's not over yet. Here comes Johnny.
It's not over yet. Here's Johnny with a power up over the top. So Johnny is he's closing in very quickly now.
No way.
Very quickly.
He's going to get
like
third.
Going to go third spot. That
No
is a good
way!
ride by John O'Bates.
What
Nice
happened
work.
to Aussie Hump Day? They had second and third place. They had second and third. But John O'Bates, never giving up.
Never give up. John O'Bates come from the clouds. That's his third second place now, I think, isn't it?
Wow. But what happened? Ben Simpson didn't even have a sprint in him. Richard Cook was cooked. Out of nowhere, Bates.
Yep.
700 meters behind,
Yep.
500 meters behind, right by them.
Yeah, it was from a long way back, and it was very, very fast. I didn't see any power-ups used there by the Aussie Hump Day guys. There was only one power-up I saw that let fly there, so I'm not sure what quite happened with that, because the timing was sort of right, but the power-ups weren't quite there to give him that edge. But John O'Bates had his power-up timed to perfection and really launched from the back straight round to the front. And if Keel obviously wasn't away, then it would have been a really good matchup between him and Keel, I think, with that power that John O'Bates is putting out at the moment, and a match race up with Q, I think he probably would have been neck and neck, I reckon.
But Jeff, once again, I think this might be his 4th consecutive Western E-Cred victory. Man is just out of the league. He's so good. And remember, he was actually racing the Eastern E-Cred for the most of the beginning of the season, but then he said, you know what? I might as well just go to the Western E-Cred and guarantee me a spot in the finale instead of duking it out. I'll just see them in the finale. That's it. And that's what he did. Changed to the Western, last 5 seasons or last 5 weeks. Bam. The shark has been hitting hard. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching the E-Cred. I've got a phone call to attend to, so I will see you guys with Wes again next week for more E-Cred racing. If you want to be more part of the Australian racing scene or group rider scenes, on Wednesdays there's the Aussie Hump Day right so tomorrow, 7 o'clock Eastern Australian time I think it is. On Thursdays there's the Tour de Aus, which you can also do. Highly recommend you take part in those. Maybe you'll even see Wes out there doing some of them. Anyway, Wes, take it away, man.
Perfect. Thanks very much for joining, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Everyone had a really good race tonight, and like I said, if you are joining late, we will try to give you some shout-outs and make sure we involve you in this community. So do try and show up. Tell your mates also that haven't come along to this race. Tell them to have a bit of a dig. There are some points on offer, and there is some good racing on offer as well. So thanks very much, and we'll see you next week.